Hi guys, this is Tina from Shabbydabbydoodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another one of our mass making sessions, and I thought what we could make today is some envelope books to put in your junk journals. So I've brought along two different types of size envelopes. So I've got, I think this is probably what we call a DL size envelope here. But it's got the pointy flap. Well, it's actually straight at the edge, but it's not that kind of business one with the straight edge. It's this type of one with a sort of more pointy edge. So, I mean, you could use this from anything. If you've got some from, maybe you've got some card making packs or something that you no longer use that would have these kinds of envelopes. They're the type of size that these are. And then I've also got, I don't know what size these are actually. Let me just see, because I just threw the wrapper away. I managed to get these a while ago, you know, on offer in a shop. These are C6 envelopes. So again, you might have some of these from maybe like a card making pack or something like that. So I've just got those two sort of size envelopes. I've got some book pages, obviously, just, you know, to have a sort of, you know, as a neutral kind of colourway. I've got some sheet music and things. And then I've got a selection of patterned papers, that are all here. Now these are all printed on 102 GSM. None of these are printed on thick sort of card. They're all printed on thinner, because obviously we're going to be covering the envelope, so you probably don't really want to have anything too bulky. I'm just going to raise my camera up slightly. Hopefully that's going to be a bit better. I've got my scissors, I've got my glue, and the only other thing really that you're going to kind of probably need is something to, you know, spread your glue out. So I've just got my glue spreader there, which is my card. Other than that, you might want to have your distress ink and things, and then of course you might want to get some things to decorate with. You may want to have some just coffee dyed paper or something if you're going to put something on the inside. I think that's probably everything that we need. So let's get making. So I'm just going to put these onto my lap so they're out the way. So if I take one of the big ones first, all I'm going to do is cover basically this inside flap, and then I will cover obviously the outside flap afterwards. So let's do this one. Shall we do it in this book page? Just thinking, because this is actually portrait rather than landscape, so I'm just kind of looking to see what's the best way to do this. Okay, let's have a look. See it there. We will cut into that girl's face, which is a bit of a shame. Well, perhaps I'll use some book page actually. This doesn't bode well, does it? I've fallen at the first hurdle. I've literally only just switched the camera on. No, I'm not going to use book page. I'm going to use some sheet music. So I've got quite a wide piece of sheet music here, which is great because obviously it's going to be just ideal for this. So I'm just going to fold it over there just so as I get, you know, somewhere roughly to take it down. I'll just tear that. Okey-doke. And I'm going to put that in there. So I just want to kind of fold it up. Oh, I did it way too long. I didn't want to have the massive white sort of header type piece at the bottom. Well, footer type piece, I guess, at the bottom. So I'm just going to take that off like that. And then all I'm going to do is literally put it into my envelope piece like that and glue it down. So completely up to you really, whether kind of you want to have a little edge or whether you want to go right to the edge. I think either is quite nice, to be honest. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a preference. I'm going to put this one right up to the edge for the first one, but I may do some, you know, not right up to the edge. So all I'm going to do is apply my glue as, you know, close to the edge as I can possibly get. Oh, please don't start having glue problems straight away at the beginning of the video. That's just not good, is it? I do always test my glue out, believe it or not, before I switch the camera on. And, you know, it's just typical, isn't it? Because it then works when you test it. And then as soon as you actually switch the camera on, of course, it's not them wanting to work. So all I'm doing is kind of going around the very edge, and then, oops, I'll just do some glue in the middle there as well. Oops, like that. And then I'm just going to glue just along that edge there, a bit like you do with those Crafty Cat envelopes. And then just decide which way up I want it. Yeah, I think I probably want it this way up. Right, excuse my head. Trying to keep my head out of the way. So I'm just then popping that up as close as I can to the edge at the top. So I'm just going to get my dry wipe to run along where the glue is seeping out now. Just get my glue spreader like that. Okay, make sure it's nicely glued down, and then I can just turn it over, trim my envelope down. Now at this point, you know, don't worry too much if you snip into the envelope, because you can always make this another pocket. I should really wipe my table down because now I've picked up some ink from what I was doing yesterday. Okay, and then I'm just going to, I think, cover the flap now. I mean, she is so lovely, isn't she? But then I'm going to fold her in half, I think. Let's have a look. Oh, I might be okay, actually. Just about okay. Yeah, just about okay, I think. So all I'm going to do is apply the glue to the flap. And, you know, I'm not saying that this is the best way to do this or anything. But this is just kind of quite a convenient way to do it, I suppose, is what I would say. Because then you can kind of like place it where you want it and move it about before you cut it. So for instance, her, I want to kind of make sure she's on there. The only thing I should have done probably was get rid of those white borders, because I didn't print this borderless. So let's just get rid of those. Otherwise we'll have big white edges, which won't look very nice. Okay, right, let's put that down there. And then I'm just going to try and position her so she's on the flap. I'm probably going to have to then lift this up and look at the flap in the light to just check that I've got her on there. Not very helpful to you guys, I know, but kind of just have to hold it up to the light, don't you, sometimes, and check your paper is kind of showing through on the other side. Obviously my piece of paper is not quite wide enough to go across that entire flap, but that's fine. So again, just kind of spread that around. I can use my glue spreader. And then I'm just going to go in and trim that down. Like that. Okay, and then when you fold it up, then you can see kind of where you need to cut then on the bottom. So just trim along there, like that. Okay, obviously I'm not going to bin these bits of paper, and that's your booklet foundation. And then all you're going to do is fold it in half like that. Now at this point it's completely up to you really whether you want to glue this down here on the fold or stitch it. I think either is absolutely fine. Either is going to work perfectly, you know, perfectly okay. Just completely up to you really how you prefer to do it. I think the stitching is quite nice, so I might stitch mine. But if you haven't got a sewing machine, I think sewing is, you know, absolutely fine too. So I'm just going to take a little bit of coffee dyed paper to just put in the middle. Oops. So again, luckily that sort of seems quite a good size. So I'm just going to cut it down about there. And then just trim it down here as well. Okay. And then we can glue those down. And obviously, you know, my paper is still white, you know, my envelope is still white. This will all look much different once it's inked up. Okay. So just plenty of glue all around there. Pop that down. Okay, get my spreader. Like that. And then the other one, exactly the same. Okie dokie. So, I mean, they're super, super, super simple, but they look really nice. And, you know, I think they look a bit like something you've spent ages on. So, you know, like so many of these things that we put in our journals that look super complicated or super, super lovely once they're done and look like they've taken you quite a long time, but actually they're really quick and easy. So isn't that just gorgeous? And obviously, as I say, I mean, once this is inked up, this will all be kind of disguised, so it won't sort of stand out like a sore thumb like it does at the moment. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and I'm going to kind of coat, or cover, not coat, cover all of my envelopes that I'm going to do today. And then towards, you know, 3/4 of the way through or whatever, I'll probably go and stitch them on the sewing machine. So we'll just kind of, yeah, continue in the same vein. So I'm just picking another paper. So let's do this paper, I think would be quite pretty. Yeah, let's do this, and just going to again just like fold it down to roughly where I need that to be. Okay, so this paper here is from my Lavender Valley, and the paper before was from my La Rosa collage sheets. So yeah, okay, so I'm just going to kind of glue that in. I'm not going to worry too much, you know, where it's glued. Yeah, I might put it like that side there. So again, I'm just going to take that edge down like that, and that just means I have one less edge to have to glue, basically. So that's the only reason for doing that. And then again, glue all around like that. So all around your, you know, where the natural kind of end of the envelope is. Then lots of glue in the middle to, you know, fill it in or attach it to. And then run a little bit of glue here along the bottom. Like that, and then just attach your piece. Oops. Oh my gosh, what horrible sticking that was. Just awful gluing. Right, there we go. It was very skewiff. So spread your glue like that, and then you can just cut the edge off. And like I say, I mean, at this point you could actually make that an extra pocket if you wanted to. So I just need to decide, do I want to have kind of matching flaps? I think that might be quite nice in this, on this one. So I'm going to just glue that onto there. And obviously the benefit is this one is landscape, so it's going to actually fit the entire envelope, which is pretty good. So along there like that. Again, just fill in sort of in the middle. Yeah, so I think you could really get away with any size envelopes for this. I mean, maybe not massive ones, but pretty much any size. So hopefully, you know, most people have got something that they would be able to use. You could probably get away with using you know, the ones with the straight flap, you're just going to have a different sort of pocket. So, you know, if you haven't got any with the, you know, this sort of half hexagon pocket, you could do probably straight pockets. I haven't really tried them, I don't think, but it would just mean you had a small pocket at the bottom instead. So I think they would probably work. I mean, just play around and experiment and have a bit of fun, you know. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's just having fun and hopefully then creating something that you really like at the end of it. So just having fun, having a nice time, and just, yeah, enjoying yourself for an hour or two. So that's that one. I love how that looks just the same. It's really pretty, isn't it? And then again, just then fold the envelope in half like that. Okay, like that. And I mean, you could always do your coffee dyed sheets afterwards. Now they're typical, they are just a little fraction too small now. So I might fill in my coffee dyed pieces afterwards, but that's fine. So I'm just going to carry on just doing kind of the outside covers, I think, for the time being. So probably that's, you know, all I need to kind of show you, because obviously they're super simple. And yeah, we can just relax now, have a nice time. I've got my autumn paper here because I'm actually working on my autumn journal. I was challenged by the lovely Joey DeFee and Barbara at 49 Dragonflies to join in their autumn altered book that they're doing. So I had been wanting to do an altered book again for ages. I've done sort of lots of altered books in the past, but for some reason I just haven't really done one for a long time. You know, where you just kind of, I don't know, you just seem to do the same thing for a while and then just, you know, I haven't done one, I'm pretty sure, for like a year. So it had been on my list of things I wanted to do anyway, so I was really excited to be challenged by them to join in. And obviously the autumn theme just gave me something to work with without having to think too much about what to do, so that was very nice. Yeah, it's very strange because actually, I wonder if I could just try and cut this to size. Probably not going to be able to because I'm not very good at doing things like that, but we'll see. And this is why I never cut things to size first. I tend to always do them afterwards because this probably is not going to pan out very well. We'll see. Yeah, I know that I've said this before, but my first ever junk journal that I made, funnily enough, was an altered book. And I kind of shied away, actually, from doing, you know, a more traditional journal for a while, you know, the type that would need binding. I found the idea of having to bind a journal very, you know, intimidating. And I mean, as you know from my recent video, I still hadn't done an actual, you know, hardback journal with a hard spine and things until literally a couple of months ago. They really sent the fear of God into me. But the altered books, for some reason, I found them much easier to do. So yeah, my first about three junk journals, I think, were actually altered books. I guess because obviously the whole foundation is already there. So, you know, if you're kind of trying to not really do the binding, or, you know, perhaps you just, you know, haven't got time or don't feel confident at first to do the binding, then the altered books are sort of a way, you know, way to not have to do that. And they are lovely. Did I glue down there? No, I had a funny feeling I didn't. And they're lovely. You know, they feel like an old heirloom. So, yeah, I would definitely recommend altered books. They're super fun to do. So I've got a few videos coming up doing that very soon. I'm still working on it at the moment. Whoops, still working on it at the moment. So I won't sort of probably put the videos up until I'm, you know, well on my way with it, really. But yeah, I've been having fun doing that. And the other thing that I have been talking about recently, and you will see soon, I have a different type of glue book project that I do, you know, soon, which I've already completed. But I also had talked about that I was going to do another altered book soon. Not an altered book, a glue book, like the one that I did during the lockdown. So I had really great fun doing that. It was a glue book junk journal, and, you know, combining the kind of glue book with the junk journal. Sorry, my glue is mucking me about now. Combining the two things. So it was a junk journal with glue book elements and, you know, odd pages of glue books designs, so that it was, you know, something really interesting and eclectic to have a look through. So I have been saying for a little while that I was going to do another one of those, and I had been looking around for the right sort of books, because not every book is, you know, I don't think going to lend itself necessarily to that type of thing. And, you know, I might be completely wrong. It might just be my opinion. But I did have one or two people have asked me to show the types of books. So I'm going to pull them in a second and show you, because I've actually bought 2 books which I'm hoping are going to be just right for doing another one of those glue book journals. So I'm going to pull them in a second, so that if you're planning on making one with me, you could perhaps, you know, start keeping your eye out for a similar sort of book. So, you know, you might already have one of those types of books in your stash, but let me just show you. Oops, they're on the floor. So these are the books that I'm going to be using for my glue books. Now, these are slightly bigger, I would say, than the one that I used. This one might be a similar size, actually. This one, as you can see, it's slightly wider. They are, I mean, obviously, as you can see, they're both cookbooks, weirdly, but they are quite glossy pages, and, you know, they're modern books. They're not vintage or anything like that. But I found these were brilliant for the glue books in the style that I did them, because I painted the pages, they covered really nicely, and the pages were nice and big, so I had lots of room to do my glue book layout and things like that. So they're not massively thick. This one actually is 96 pages, so actually it feels like it's a lot thicker than the one that I did for the other one. And I may take 1 or 2 pages out of that, because it's a bit too thick. So that's the first one, and then the other one is pretty much the same style, i.e. the pages are quite glossy. They're not quite as glossy as that one, actually, and it has far less pages. So this one's only got 46, so it's like half the size. But again, the pages are lovely and big, so I'm going to get lots of room for doing a really nice glue book layout on there. And then I will probably just paint the rest of the pages, so that it's going to be, you know, again, junk journal / glue book, or junk journal with glue book pages mixed in. So they're the 2 types of books that I'm going to be using for my next glue book. I won't be using both of them. Well, I will be eventually, but, you know, obviously I'll just be doing them one at a time. But so if you wanted to start looking out for a book, or, you know, you might have one at home that's kind of just ideal, that's the type of book that I'm planning on using. Of course, you know, as I always say, I'm no expert, and I'm merely saying what worked for me last time, and I will probably stick with that, because I liked the format of that. I liked having the big book pages, and I liked having the thinnish, you know, the big book pages, but the thinnish amount of pages, if you see what I mean. So for me, they just felt just right. So yeah, I mean, of course, completely up to you how you do it. So this one, I'm just going to glue this down, and then I think I'm going to just trim around it afterwards. So we'll just see how we get on doing that instead. I do always just, you know, go from one method to another, really, to see what's, you know, what's easiest. But yeah, so I hope, you know, I'd love it if lots of you join me making a glue book soon. I can't tell you when it's going to be, because I've got quite a few other things kind of lined up at the moment, you know, that I've either started, or sometimes one video leads to, you know, a natural kind of progression onto something else and things like that. So I can't tell you exactly when it's going to be, but hopefully it will be this side of Christmas. You know, it will be kind of as soon as I've finished my other projects, hopefully we'll get started on doing something like that, because I did really love doing that glue book. So, and as I say, I do in the meantime have another glue book project, glue book style project coming up, but it was slightly different. So intriguing, huh? Oh, well, I'm sure it's not that exciting, but yeah, so something else glue book styly coming up on my channel quite soon. So, and that is all filmed, and as I say, I've actually completed it. So yeah, that's kind of, and I had great fun doing that one too. So I just like doing different things, really. You know, it's nice and fun to do lots of different projects, isn't it? And lots of different things. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. So always good to mix it up and do lots of different bits and bobs. So okey-dokey. So that's that one. Might mix this up with the sheet music, perhaps. Oh, I'm almost thinking we could mix it up with this. What do you think? I mean, that's quite brave for me, to be honest, to do that, but kind of quite liking it. So I'm just going to just tear that down here. Across the top. So I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you've all had a nice weekend and things. I'm filming this on the Monday. Obviously, you guys will be getting it on the Tuesday. But yeah, I hope that you've all had a good weekend and, you know, maybe done some nice crafting, maybe done some other nice things. I mean, the weather was really nice here. Well, I mean, not really nice, but really nice for this time of year. It was quite warm. It's another nice day today. The sun's shining. So we're just getting those last few days of kind of nice weather before obviously autumn really sets in. I don't know what the official date is for when autumn begins and summer ends. I might have already missed it for all I know. I'm terrible with things like that. But yeah, we've got a few last sunny nice days at the moment, so that's really good, really nice. And they're just pleasant, you know, pleasantly warm. We've had some sort of grey skies a little bit from time to time over the weekend, but not too much. And I mean, obviously it is September, so kind of to be expected, really. I just want to say thank you to everybody who purchased the Meandering Meadow kit yesterday that I launched. Well, for you it will be Sunday. For me it's yesterday. That I launched yesterday. It's such a pretty kit. The images are just so delicate and pretty, and yeah, I really hope that you all have lots of fun using it. I'm really grateful to everybody who purchased that. Thank you very much. And yeah, I hope you have a great time using it. So that was on Sunday, and again, you know, if you didn't purchase it but you did watch the video, I hope you have a great time if you make one of those little pocket booklets. They're super fun to make, and it was just kind of this ideal project, I thought, for just kind of, you know, an hour project on a Sunday or something. I thought it was just perfect for that. So yeah, I really hope that you had fun if you made one. You know, not necessarily from my papers, but, you know, whatever papers that you did choose to use, I hope that you had a good time making one. Right, I've got some of Deb at Artsologies. I've also got some of her papers, so I might use one of hers, I think, for this one. Again, I'll just trim that down. I didn't print these off borderless, so I've got these borders around the edge, but that's fine. And actually, I think I probably want that lovely rose on there, so I'm going to actually trim this down further, more like that, so that I get that big rose on that page, I think. Okay. So what have I been watching since last week? My son and I, my middle son and I, we watched, it was a ITV drama, so that's ITV over here in the UK, and I know that now in other places, I think you can get BritBox, I think it is, I think it's BritBox, where you can pick up sort of our programmes and things. So that was quite good. It was called Des. It was about a serial killer who, I think it was like in the late 70s and 80s, or, you know, late 70s, early 80s. It might have just been the late 70s, actually, because it might have been that he was actually, you know, arrested and things in the 70s. But anyway, yeah, his name was Dennis Nilsson. And so the programme was just called Des. And it was with the actor, is his name David Tennant? Yeah, David Tennant. He was, I think he was Doctor Who. It was him. Wow, he played the part really, really, really well. Yeah, it was a really good programme. I mean, I like programmes like that. I know they're not really everybody's cup of tea. But yeah, I do quite like things like that. And to be fair, I mean, lots of people must, because they seem to be on a lot. You know, they have a lot of those types of dramas, don't they? You know, my husband doesn't really like things like that, to be honest. So he often doesn't really watch them. It's often just me and my middle son. So my older son, he doesn't really like things like that either. They think they're morbid and, you know, oh, why are you watching this morbid stuff for? But we quite enjoy them. So yeah, we watched that. It was over 3 nights. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We watched it on the catch-up thing, you know, the ITV player. But yeah, we've obviously finished that now. So at the moment, I'm between series. Yeah, I'm between them at the moment. So yeah, just kind of deciding what to watch next. I've had lots of good suggestions from people, which, you know, I would have watched probably something else, another drama on Netflix last week after I'd finished watching The Fall. But suddenly that drama with David Tennant was on, and I thought, oh, perhaps I'd like to watch that. So yeah, we watched that anyway, and it was very good. He was just, yeah, so brilliant in it. Well, that's a shame, because this sheet music here, this little scrap, is a really good colour for this. It's a little bit more discoloured than that one. Let me just see if I've got any more of this. Just in my scraps box here to the side. Okay. And thank you so much to all those lovely people as well who ordered something in my Etsy restock. So I apologise, you know, to those people obviously who missed out. It's really hard because, you know, obviously you want to kind of, you know, try and get everybody who would like something to get something. But I mean, of course, physical items are very difficult to make, you know, fast enough or enough of for people who want things to get things. So, you know, I'm really sorry if you didn't manage to get anything. I will hope to do one again quite soon. I mean, now hopefully the kids are back at school. You know, hopefully we're not going to go back into another lockdown, although who knows really. But I mean, hopefully now they're back at school, I might be able to, you know, get another restock quite soon. I don't want to commit to any sort of timeline or anything, but hopefully I might be able to do something quite soon. So yeah, thank you so much. And it's always a bit tricky as well with the listing times, because I know that sometimes, you know, people say, oh, you know, you list so early and I'm not up yet in my part of the world. And it's really tricky because obviously, I mean, actually the bulk of my things are actually ordered from the US. So obviously I don't really know time wise, you know, what time those people are, you know, what time it is where those people are. But the majority of things that get sold are actually sold within the US. So it's just, you know, a tricky one really. to get the timing right. And the only other thing that I could do is possibly kind of say my item won't be listed until, say, 6 o'clock. The only thing is I don't trust myself to actually remember to list the item at 6 o'clock. So that's why I kind of, you know, I've only done that once or twice before, because I feel then very nervous that I'm not going to remember to actually list it when it gets to 6 o'clock. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I mean, I do have a waiting list going on for items. I don't really do custom orders, but I do have a waiting list going on, you know, for things. And then when I sell, or, you know, when I'm going to put things in my shop, I can give you kind of first option if you're on the list. Of course, again, that makes it tricky, because then there's even less chance of people getting things, because often, you know, things are already offered to the first person on the list. But it's the only thing that I can think of that kind of makes it sort of fairish to people. And just while we're on the subject of things like that, I also just want to just mention, isn't that gorgeous paper? Just really pretty. So thank you so much, Deb. That's lovely. I just want to mention one other thing, actually. Oh, let's just check the time. I've been rambling on for such a long time. Oh, 36 minutes. So probably do one more, and then I'll probably have to go to the sewing machine. Oh, what was I about to say? Oh, yes. While we're on the subject of things like that, I just want to mention one more thing. Is unfortunately, since the lockdown, the post office seems to have increased their prices significantly, which is, you know, incredibly frustrating, because, you know, sometimes the postage price is more than the item that you're buying. And, you know, I really, yeah, feel embarrassed kind of saying the postage prices to people, and I can't apologise enough. I mean, I recently sold, or, you know, well, in fact, this morning I've posted something which I'd put together, and I had charged £45 including the postage. $45, sorry, including the postage. And when I got to the post office, it actually cost me £30 to post it, because it was a lot of paper and things like that. So by the time I did then the currency conversion, I think it ended up that I'd got £4, and of course I also pay Etsy fees out of that. So, you know, for that £45 that lady spent, I ended up with £4 less my Etsy fees, which, you know, I couldn't even tell you what they worked out at, but, you know, the chances are I ended up with perhaps 50p for the effort of obviously putting together the pack for that lady, and obviously, you know, posting her stuff. I'd obviously bought some of those items, you know. I mean, it's fine. I hopefully that's, you know, hopefully that doesn't happen too often, and that's fine. But I just, you know, I feel very guilty, because obviously, you know, of course nobody's got lots of money in this day and age, and, well, or any day and age really, but, you know, I feel guilty because obviously I really want to try and help people, and when people are asking for things, I really try and accommodate them and at the best price possible. But I mean, like that, for instance, was kind of ridiculous. My own fault completely. So, you know, to the lady who bought that stuff, you know, I'm seriously, you know, completely my fault. Please don't feel anything about this. But just to kind of mention that, you know, I really do try my best to kind of make it as cost effective for you guys as possible. But unfortunately, you know, the postage prices being what they are, just do make that pretty tough, to be honest, to, you know, really keep the prices down, you know, as much as I can. But they make it very, very difficult to do that. So, yeah, that kind of is just my word on the postage prices. You know, I've had a couple of cases, instances recently where things have seemed very expensive when I've posted them, and I thought, oh, you know, I'm sure that that's a lot more than last time. I haven't actually had time to check on the website of the Royal Mail, and I do always post tracked and signed. So I post, you know, signed for in the UK and tracked and signed when it goes abroad. You know, I mean, I could probably do a cheaper postal service without the tracked element, but I always think they probably take better care of it, if it's tracked. So, you know, it's one of those kind of, just, it is what it is, I'm afraid. So yeah, I just can only apologise, and I just want you to know that, you know, if postage prices seem high, I don't, oh, I must have not glued that in. I don't certainly ever make money from the postage or anything. I literally charge as close to the postage as possible, more often than not in the buyer's favour, if you see what I mean. It's just a shame that the postage seems to have got so extortionate, and along with that they seem to have now changed the postal counter hours. So whereas before they were open 7 days a week and things, they're no longer opening on Sundays. I don't even think they're opening on Saturdays. If they are, we never seem to manage to catch them, so they must close by sort of 11 or 12. Yeah, so, you know, it's like all these things. They've increased their prices and, you know, lessened their service, really. Anyway, enough of that moaning. So I'm going to take my bits over to the sewing machine, and I'm just going to literally stitch down the middle of my, you know, what are going to be kind of little foldy booklets, envelope booklets. So I'm just going to stitch them now. Right, I'm back from the sewing machine with all of my little envelopes. So just trim the threads off. So that one. That one, and that one. Oops, nearly done. Okay. Oops, and last couple. So I mean, again, these are quite a good way to use up scraps and things, because obviously the flaps you can use your scraps on, because the flaps you don't really need a very big piece for. Now I have to say, I did then notice that I had stuck most of my flaps down, which is a little bit irritating. So yeah, just be a bit aware of kind of gluing your flaps down. Obviously that was, I think, because I was kind of rushing to do the video, but yeah, just be a little bit careful kind of how you stick them down. So that's my little envelopes, and we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which isn't too bad because they're quite a fiddly one to make. So I'll just decorate this one up because I'm doing my autumn junk journal. It's, you know, quite a good one to then do, because then I'll have another piece to put in my journal. So I'll use what's left of that coffee dyed paper to just cover on there. Okay. You know, and you can really kind of adapt these. You could put more pages in the middle and things like that if you want. You know, you can do kind of quite a lot of different things, I think, with these. So they're quite a fun one. And it's always just nice to, you know, to do some different bits and pieces, isn't it? So let's just glue this down. Okay. Okie dokie, pop that one down there. Whoops. So I'm trying to think what we actually did at the weekend, to be honest. Oh, Saturday we just went for a nice walk. Both of the boys were with us, you know, because often they're working, obviously, and things. So they were both with us. We did a walk, and yeah, that was quite nice. We just had a kind of picnic in the car, and then we were going to hopefully go to the beach. And then, to be fair, you know, although I said the weather was nice, it wasn't that nice. So we kind of drove down towards the beach. And then, weirdly, when we actually were sat in the car, we had a few spots of rain, and we said, oh, what's the point in going to the beach today? So we just, you know, drove further down the road, and, you know, about a mile or so down the road, and then parked up and had a nice walk instead. So that was nice. And then we just popped around and saw my mum and dad. Had a cup of tea there, so that was nice to see them. And then Sunday, both the boys were working. So my middle son was working at his place of work, which is a little restaurant, local sort of restaurant, and my older son had picked up a day's carpentry work with a carpenter. So he'd never really done that before, but I think he had quite a nice time. So yeah, it was just me and my husband and my daughter then yesterday. So I always hate it when one of them's missing. It always feels like a shame, you know. I just think, oh, the family's not kind of complete, but it was fine. We had quite a nice day, and I think my daughter thinks it's boring with us as well, to be honest. I think she misses her brothers, you know, she prefers it when they're there, although she obviously annoys them and they obviously annoy her, because most of what you hear constantly is her saying, oh, they're annoying me, you know, oh, he's annoying me, he's annoying me. You know, they, yeah, kind of, although they do annoy her, she obviously prefers them being there to not being there. She obviously finds that very boring. And what did we do? We just had to do boring stuff. We had to go and do our food shopping and things like that. Oh, I hate those days. Very boring. I used to really like food shopping, but I'm sure I've said this before. I'm sure I'm just repeating myself, but oh, so boring. I think just, you know, the shops, they're just full of, you know, the same old boring food and, oh, I don't know. I think kind of obviously the boys, where they're bigger now, oh, they just eat so much. And I just don't know about you, if you've got kids or if you've had kids in the past, you know, maybe especially boys. I'm so sick of hearing that line of there's nothing to eat. You know, I go to the cupboard and it's full. But their best line is there's nothing to eat. And then you buy stuff and you just get the constant, why did you buy that for? Who eats that? What, you know, what's that for? Who did you get that for? You know, or then, oh, who's eaten all of that? Oh, it just drives you potty, to be honest. So, gosh, I'm really moaning today, aren't I? I must stop moaning. I've moaned about the postage prices, now I'm moaning about the food shopping. But it is annoying, isn't it? And you just think, oh gosh, you know, how much more stuff do you want me to buy? So yeah, and it was so busy in the supermarket. In fact, I went to do the shopping first of all, and we just shop in Aldi. And I went there to do the shopping and it was so busy. I just thought, I can't do that. There's no way I can do that. So turned round, my husband was doing some jobs at home and my daughter didn't want to come, so she was also at home with my husband. And yeah, I turned round, I thought, well, I'm not going to, you know, queue like that to get in, because obviously they're kind of still restricting the numbers. So the actual queue outside, although, you know, of course that's for our own good, I just thought, oh, what if it's busy outside like that? The inside the shop's just going to be murder. So I didn't bother. And I then went just further down. There's an Iceland, and it's called an Iceland warehouse. So it's like frozen food. For anyone who's not in the UK, their predominant thing is just frozen food, really. So I thought, well, perhaps I'll try and do my shopping in there. Well, it was a bit of a sort of hit and miss, really. I mean, I ended up buying quite a lot of stuff, obviously mainly frozen. I don't know. I then sort of still had to then go into Aldi later on in the afternoon when it had quietened down, because obviously then I didn't have everything I needed, because they didn't have like the best selection of vegetables and things like that, and they were a little bit pricey. Because they seem to round their prices up. So, you know, it always seems a little bit expensive. Some of it's really good value. And then other things, because they round it up to the nearest pound, they actually then seem really extortionate. So, yeah, I didn't want to obviously pay more than I had to for, you know, like vegetables and things. So I still had to then go into Aldi. But what we did was I went home with the first lot of shopping, the Iceland stuff that obviously all needed to go in the freezer. Put that all in the freezer, and then we went out on our bikes and we went to Aldi on our bikes, because obviously I just had, like, you know, some stuff that would fit in my bike panniers left to get. So we just went back there, bought the one or two things left that we had, you know, left to get, and then took that stuff home. So it was one of those bit of a silly day, but then the sun was shining and it was lovely. So we then just cycled down to just the park in the town and just took my daughter to the park. she had an ice cream. Well, she had a slush puppy anyway. She didn't want an ice cream. She wanted a slush puppy. So she had that. And yeah, we had quite a nice time. I mean, it was a bit of a bitty day where, just doing sort of silly jobs and things like that. But yeah, I guess everyone was pleased once the cupboards and the freezer was full again. But okay. I did say to everyone, I think it is time to start doing online food shopping, which we did a bit of during the, the lockdown. We did a bit of online shopping. And that was kind of the first time I'd really done online food shopping. I don't know. I just feel like we're going to end up then still not really getting everything we need. And we'll end up doing it twice, once online and once in the shops. So, and funnily enough, my eldest son, when I said that, he said, oh, no, I really like food shopping. I did say, well, why don't you do the food shopping then? Because nobody else seems to like it. And, But, yeah, so he obviously thinks it's fun still to do the food shopping. Okay. And, gosh, don't you just hate putting all the food shopping away? That's even worse, isn't it? Even worse than doing the actual shopping. Okay, right. But yeah, we had a nice time at the park anyway, so that was really good. And obviously we got out on our bikes. I mean, not what would warrant being called a bike ride, because literally the Audi is like 5 minutes. The town's 5 minutes. We're not far from anything. So, yeah, it wasn't like a bike ride as such, but at least we got some fresh air. We didn't kind of jump in the car or anything like that. So that was really nice. Okay, right. So that's that. And then obviously just to show you how that would be, just grab a couple of journaling cards. Look at that. Yeah, I hope everybody is staying safe and well. I mean, it still remains a dicey time, doesn't it? And obviously on the news you just get very varied reports, don't you? But I mean, a lockdown doesn't seem off the cards exactly, so we'll have to see. But that's obviously that little pocket, and then oops. Okie dokie. And then that would be that little pocket there. And again, I mean, I didn't actually decorate the back up, but I guess, could decorate the back. And, could also decorate a little bit more in the inside as well. So they're really sweet, aren't they? And as I say, you could always snip here along the edges, and then you'd have like a pocket in there as well. So they're quite versatile and just super cute. They feel nice and squishy. I always like that when things turn out feeling squishy and nice. So yeah, I hope that you like them, and maybe you have managed to use a couple of your envelopes that maybe were in your stash, and maybe some of your papers and things. So thank you so much for watching, and hopefully see you again soon. Thanks then. Bye.